There were rules of things I wasn't allowed to talk about.
My job as Miss America. There were do's and don'ts of being Miss America, and they were actually handed to me in a neat little document on that first day.
She will not be on her phone during events. She will answer her phone within 15 minutes if someone from Miss America calls her. She will not leave her room without the tour manager knowing, does not leave the room without an approved wardrobe, does not post without it being approved.
Never speak ill about the organization.
It's a year-long job. It's a very difficult job. It's strenuous, it's tiring, and you have to be willing to take on that challenge.
Whether it was media interviews, appearances, all of it was very carefully supervised by the organization.
I would be in interviews, and there's one interviewer, she asked me a political question, I don't remember what it was, but whoever's with me from the organization at the time completely stopped the interview and said start over, like from the beginning. Like, we're not talking about anything political. And I'm like, I'm ready for this. Like, this is what I prepared for.
I remember being asked specifically, did I think that a lesbian woman could be Miss America? And I remember emphatically answering, how do you know one has not been? And I remember getting a lot of heat for that answer.
Reporting from Fort AP Hill.
They say that they want someone who stands on the courage of their convictions, that knows who they are and what they want to do and who they want to be and that sort of thing. But then you're almost kind of sometimes robotically fed talking points. And so it almost goes against everything that they said they were looking for.
Thank you. Very, very proud of you. So tell me what your regime is.
You really don't have a voice, and you really don't have a say as long as you're underneath the blanket of the organization. Doing that for a year gets very, very tiring, and you feel like you lose your identity.
Well, I was kind of the same way because I could only see positive.
I tried to be the best that I could be, tried to be who I thought I needed to be to fulfill this role. They expect absolute perfection in every way. The expectations and pressure are through the roof.
One night when I went back to my hotel room and started seeing some YouTube videos from the pageant, then I scrolled down and started seeing some of the comments.
Miss Arkansas should have won. Miss Nebraska is way too short, way too smiley, and not elegant at all. Another says, another Barbie doll. What a waste. The comments about intelligence, I think, always hit the hardest. She needs to shut up and just look pretty, stop talking. Why do we even care what her opinion is?
And I was just devastated. It felt like a punch in the gut right as I was coming off of this high. I began to question myself every time I spoke, becoming very self-conscious, rehearsing over and over again for fear that people would once again think that I was stupid and unintelligent.
I didn't speak to Teresa very much during her year as Miss America. The photos that were on social media that we were seeing seemed like it was a great time, like she was having the time of her life.
The schedule was grueling. I remember having sometimes 3 to 5 appearances in one day. And a different city every 18 to 36 hours, literally. You know, it seems glamorous, and yet it was very lonely many times.
I felt very alone. It's very isolating. It's just you and your tour manager all year.
It is one of the loneliest years that you have because you go back to your room and you're by yourself.
I wasn't allowed to be seen with my boyfriend. He wasn't allowed to be in my hotel room, be anywhere near my hotel room.
I think my mom was very surprised. I think she expected there to be far more communication from the organization.
There was little to no time to connect with friends and family. I did not see the people that I was closest to for a very long time. I spoke to my parents about once a month. Often they didn't know where I was or what I was doing. I don't remember there being any concern about my age and what I was experiencing.
I believe that they recognize that if the parents knew everything about what is happening with their often young daughter during the year, that they would be up in arms about some of the ways that she was treated or being exploited. They wanted to steer parents away from making too much trouble and taking away some of their control over the Miss America.
The unexpected, obviously, was September the 11th, when evil people decided to attack America. Make no mistake about it, good will prevail. I want to thank Katie Harmon for being here.
9/11 was the year that I was Miss America. I was seeing things at 21 years old that were harrowing. I had the great fortune of being able to meet the rescue workers who were on their breaks. That was a privilege. Being able to express the gratitude of a nation in person. I wanted so desperately to make the organization proud. In these extraordinary times, we were worried about war, worried about terrorism, worried about being away from our families. I was 3,000 miles away from my family.
America needs to rise, and that's exactly what I'm trying to give.
I was trying so hard, desperately in fact, to be everything for everyone. I did not have much contact with my friends and family throughout the year. I was not sleeping. I did feel alone on the road. At the halfway point of my year, my travel companion and I are talking about the next day's appearance and the next day's travels. She receives a fax transmission at our hotel stating that I was to appear in the offices in Atlantic City the next day instead of going on to my next appearance. When we arrived at the Miss America offices, sitting in the boardroom was Bob Renison, our CEO. He took out a copy of what was my contract. He slammed it down on the table and said, "Is your name on this contract?" "Yes, absolutely." And he looked me square in the eyes and said, "Then I own you."
It's a horrible, dark cycle of abuse.
You stand up against us, we will terminate you.
We wanted people to understand who they were dealing with.